What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about Dead Island 2 and why I am getting this game. It actually sounds kind of crazy coming from me, and we'll talk about that in this video, because I didn't really like Dead Island 1. Dead Island Riptide was okay, but 1 really betrayed me. It's because of the incredible trailer. I really got my expectations very, very wrong for that one, but I also just never really thought it was all that good of a game. I always preferred Dying Light, but with that being said, Dead Island 2 honestly looks really good. The most recent previews we've heard of this game often talked about the game kind of feeling old, but not in a bad way, like the good kind of old. And I'm actually completely fine with that. Over the last year or two, we have gotten some games, Evil West is honestly one of the first ones that comes to my mind, that feel or look, or there's something about it that kind of resembles like the PS3, Xbox 360 era. And there's not necessarily something wrong with that. You know, modern games doesn't necessarily mean that they're better. Things have gotten better in some ways and things have gotten worse in other ways. So hearing that about Dead Island and then watching the gameplay of it, the game looks fun. I think the old kind of feel tends to be from how they're kind of restricting movement in this game. There's kind of different locations. It's not necessarily a gigantic open world like maybe we've become accustomed to with Dying Light or Dying Light 2, obviously, right, being the most recent one. But I think that's okay. I think this game kind of has to do something a little bit different than Dying Light, considering that game just came out a year ago, right, last February. You got to be able to stand out, and I do think this game is going to be able to do it. I'm not really worried about the situation of it bouncing around and the multiple cancelizations, right, of this game. I've talked about this before in other videos, but to put it in this one as well, remember, the team that has it now has had it for an incredibly long time. I think they've said like 2017, 2018. So like, yes, this game has been in the works before that. And this game has been canceled. And this game has been brought back to life in Jump Studios. That's all true. And you can definitely think whatever you want about it. But the team that has it now, and they've said this multiple times in interviews, it's theirs, right? From start to finish, this is the game they wanted to make. It's not like they got this game like 60% done from a different studio 2 years ago and they kind of just like finished it off. No, they, from start to finish, this is the game that they were making. So it could still be bad. I mean, I'm not saying that. It could definitely be bad just based off the talent of the team. It could be really good, but I don't think it's fair to judge the game, although it's always going to kind of be a meme. It's always going to be something that you kind of laugh at or look in the history books of, you know, these games that take 10 plus years to come out because they've been canceled so much. Dead Island 2 is always going to be part of that group, but the game we get right now is kind of pure in that way, if that makes any sense. I'm really impressed by how the game looks, by the gameplay of it. I think it looks quite fun to take out zombies. And look, to be frank, these kind of games, or this kind of game, I guess in particular, it's gonna all be about how you take out zombies. I'm really not that concerned or worried about the story. I believe in my heart of hearts that I was tricked with Dead Island 1. I watched that first trailer. I really didn't watch, I think, almost anything else about the game. So going in, the tone and just how it presented itself was absolutely not what I thought. And I don't think the story of Dead Island 1 or even Riptide is all that amazing, all that life-changing. I'm not expecting anything in this game story-wise to be all that amazing, to be flat out honest. I'm just there to have a good time. I'm there to enjoy the combat. And the card thing initially kind of worries me because I've always had something against card-based mechanics with fighting. Basically goes back to the Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memory days. I love the game, but I absolutely despise the combat and the card system in that. But no, honestly, the card system in this game looks really fun. It looks like it's going to diversify how you play versus somebody else plays. It looks like it's going to kind of give you options. So I ironically really like what I've seen so far of the gameplay. I've been impressed from the beginning, from when they kind of came back out, from when they showed their trailer. We've seen actually a pretty good amount of deep dive gameplay, like 10, 15, 20 minutes of just playing through the game, going through. And again, you know, it is a little linear. I think it's more linear than a lot of people expected. I really didn't mind it, as long as the enemy variety changes, as long as it's fun to take these people out, as long as it's in different locations, as long as, again, the weapons and all that stuff kind of keeps evolving. I think this game, and to make it clear, like, I think this game can actually be a good good game. I think it probably depends on, again, maybe is it too linear versus open? Is the story like laughable? Is the story surprisingly good? I think a few things are kind of like a coin flip, but if they go the game's way, I think the game can be just fine. And then it comes down to, and I always like to talk about this in these videos, the release. So this game releases at the end of April, not at the very end though, right? Originally, it moved itself, it got delayed, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor was supposed to release on the same day. And then about, a month and a half ago, Dead Island actually moved up. So Dead Island comes out 1 week before Jedi Survivor. I fully believe it was to get out of its way. It's just not going to be very good for the game if it comes out the same day as it. And so for me, and I'm pretty honest with this stuff, for me, I'm really looking for a game that can get me through 1 week. Like the end of April, around the time Dead Island comes out, is actually quite busy. You got Horizon Burning Shores, you got Minecraft Legends for those that are interested, you got the Crash Team Rumble beta, which is quite an interesting one. I mean, yes, they're not going to be games that are for everybody. In fact, all of those kind of have their specific people, but there is just a lot to play. And for me, I obviously try to play all of these games. So I'm really only looking for this game to get me through Jedi Survivor, and then maybe like the dead patches in May and June. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of games that come out between the end of April. Really, Dead Island 2 is one of those games that kind of kicks us off throughout the end of June. I'd say it's really until you get to July where it kind of dies down. Again, the reason I bring that up is just to be honest, my expectation for Dead Island, give me 1 week of just a ton of fun. And then if I want to come back later on, I will. Dying Light kind of did the same thing. Dying Light served its role. It got me to Sifu. It got me to Horizon. It got me to Elden Ring. But the thing with Dying Light 2 is I never went back in. I played Dying Light 2 when it first came out for about a week and a half, and I've never gone back since. And I don't want that. I mean, I obviously do want to go back, and I think Dead Island could do it. I'm actually, and this is going to maybe sound really weird, because of the expectations for these things, Dead Island 2, I'd almost say I'm kind of more excited. It's almost a feel-good story where, like, the game does look, I think, factually better than you would expect it to. If you showed somebody this and they knew about the cancelization history of this franchise and you said, this is Dead Island 2, they'd say, oh my God, this actually looks rather good. Maybe not amazing, maybe not a 10 out of 10 game of the year, but it does look really good, and I think better than you would think it does. And I'm really excited for that. I'm kind of rooting for the underdog. I want this game to come out. I want it to do well. Deservedly, though, right? If it sucks, it sucks, and I'll talk about that as well. It needs to earn the kind of reaction it's going to get. But I'm rooting for it. It's kind of a feel-good story where a game that's just beaten down and comes back to life multiple times, I want it to do well, and I think it's got a pretty okay shot of doing well. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.